how many new decision makers do you and your team speak to each month? Now, often when we ask this question, a lot of recruitment and search firms, they don't actually know. I say, well, and one or two things happens. They tend to exaggerate the number and say, oh, we speak to 40 or 50, or they don't know. And when you sort of drill down, the numbers tend to be quite low, 3 or 4 a month per consultant or per fee earner. But think about that. Since new business is almost the lifeblood of your business, if you're only speaking to half a dozen decision makers a month, every single month, kind of challenging to grow your business.
Warning, the Renegade Recruiter is not for the soft, timid or faint-hearted. If you need permission or seek approval from your mother, spouse, mates in the pub, or anyone else for that matter, this really isn't for you. If any of what you've heard puts you off in the slightest, I advise you not to listen any further. You've been warned. Prepare yourself for the no bullshit, zero fluff. Quick, dirty, and uncensored secrets for any serious recruitment, staffing, and search business owner who wants to earn more money with less work and fewer headaches, without having to kiss ass or bend over backwards to please anyone. He's a relentless and fearless renegade who will stop at nothing to reveal the harsh, unforgiving, and brutal truth about what it really takes to succeed in this business. He's a guy people love to hate and hate to love. It's your host, Terry Edwards. The Renegade Recruiter is unleashed.
Hello. This is Terry Edwards, Renegade Recruiter. And today, just very quickly, I want to share with you the essential numbers that every successful recruitment search firm owner must know to ensure their business success. It was Peter Drucker, the management consultant, who had that famous quote, "If you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it." I'd add to that, unless you know your numbers, you will never know what you don't know. I want to share with you the essential numbers every successful recruitment search firm owner must know to ensure business success. The first one is, what's the size of your target market? Now, you've probably heard me say, and other people say, that the narrower your niche, the broader your appeal. In other words, the more specialised you are in a particular target market, the more successful you tend to be. One of the reasons being, it's easy to position yourself as the authority or as the expert in that particular sector. And once you can position yourself as the authority or the expert, your clients have less resistance to fees. The challenge with that, of course, is not knowing the size of your target market, and it's imperative that you identify the size of your target market. And sadly, a lot of recruitment to search firm owners that I speak to on a regular basis, they just don't know, and they don't know how to find it out. But it's imperative that you do know that, and you're able to know what the size of your market is, because there is, in fact, an ideal number that you need in your target audience to be successful. Too small, and obviously you've got major problems. Too big, and it probably is not a narrow enough niche, but there is an ideal number. And say not knowing this will mean that you're going to waste a lot of time and money. So the first question is, what's the size of your target market? The next question is, how much does it cost the business for each placement the business makes? In other words, what's your cost per hire, or what's your cost per placement? Now, the good news is this is very easy to calculate. What you do is you look at all your, let's say, your monthly costs. So you would include things like advertising, technology, job boards, your LinkedIn accounts, salaries, rent, accountancy fees, insurance, legal fees, repairs, supplies, taxes, telephone bills, everything. All your entire monthly costs. Then what you look at is the number of placements that you make on average over each month. So example, let's say that your monthly cost with everything, with salary and everything, is 24,000 of your local currency. And let's say that on average you made 6 placements per month. Then in that particular case, the cost per hire is 4,000. And it's really important that you understand this number, in particular if you're working at what we call the entry level. So if you're working at entry level in terms of the sort of fees that you're getting, in some cases what it does mean is that you may be making placements at a loss. But often recruitment and search firm owners don't know this. Question number 3. If you're a contingency recruiter, what percentage of the job orders that you work on do you fill? Now, often when I ask clients this, they say, oh, we fill most of the job orders that we get. But when you examine it even closer, often, sadly, it isn't the case. The industry norm is anywhere between 10 and 30%, with some firms, in fairness, achieving 50% of the job roles that they work on, they actually fill. Now, I've got to say, that's very rare. But even if you're filling, let's say, 40% of the job roles that you're working on, that does mean that 60% of the time you and your team are working, you're never going to get paid. By the way, a retained recruiter will fill 91% of the job roles they work on. And the good news is if you work on a retained basis, you always get paid something up front. The consequence of which a retained recruiter will work less and earn substantially more than the contingency recruiter.
You're listening to the Renegade Recruiter Unleashed podcast. For show notes, additional resources, and podcast updates, head over to www.therenegaderecruiter.com.
The next question is question number 4 is what's your LTV? Now, LTV sounds like some exotic disease. In fact, it stands for lifetime value, and it's a number that you should know precisely if you want to get ahead of your competitors. Because if you don't know this number, you'll never know how much to invest in a client. Let me explain. Let's say that your average placement fee is $10,000, and when you get a new client, on average, you get 5 new assignments with that client. So over the lifetime of the relationship, in that case, the LTV, the lifetime value, is $50,000 of your local currency. So if you were to invest $1,000 to get one new client, and you know that that one new client on average over the lifetime will spend $50,000 with you, that's a worthwhile investment. But the thing is, you can't make that decision unless you know your numbers. So understand or get to know what your LTV is, lifetime value. Next question is, what number must you and your consultants bill each month to make sure you're in profit? Now you think, firsthand, this is quite easy, but look, here's what we've discovered. You've heard the saying, turnover is vanity, profit is sanity. Your profit margin is the most critical matrix to measuring the financial health of your business. Now, this is even more important if you have consultants, partners, or co-directors. You see, most recruitment and search firm owners make the mistake of thinking that if their partner, consultant, co-director bills more than they're actually you're paying them in salary, then they're profitable. Let's say, for example, the salary is $30,000, and let's say they generate $40,000 in revenue. Most people think, well, they're profitable, right? Well, it's wrong. Just because you're making more than you're paying them, it doesn't mean that they're performing. It could still mean that that they're costing you money. Think about this. Let's say that your profit, just for sake of this conversation, is a third, so it's 33%. So in your recruitment or search business, it takes on average 900 of your currency in sales to put 300 in local currency onto the bottom line. Or in other words, it takes 90,000 to yield 30,000. Let me repeat. 30% profit to yield 30,000, you need to be generating 90,000 because you work on about a third profit. So 30,000 saved is the same on paper as 90,000 sold. Let's let that sink in for a minute. 30,000 saved is the same as 90,000 sold. 30,000 saved is the same as 90,000 sold. So if your profit margins are 33% and you're paying a consultant 30,000 in salary and they're making anything less than 3 times that back, you'd actually make more profit by simply letting them go. And you'd have less headaches, less work, less hassle, and more time to focus on your own performance. But more importantly, more profits. Think about that. Here's another one. How many new decision makers do you and your team speak to each month? Now, often when we ask this question, a lot of recruitment and search firms, they don't actually know. I say, well, and one or two things happens. They tend to exaggerate the number and say, oh, we speak to 40 or 50, or they don't know. And when you sort of drill down, the number tends to be quite low, 3 or 4 a month per consultant or per fee earner. But think about that. Since new business is almost the lifeblood of your business, if you're only speaking to half a dozen decision makers a month, every single month, kind of challenging to grow your business. And also, because the next question is, what's your conversion rate? In other words, how many new decision makers did you speak to, and how many of those that you spoke to did you convert into clients? Think about that a minute. If you knew that for every 5 clients that you spoke to, as an example, you would win 1 piece of business. If you knew for every 10 new decision makers you spoke to, you could win 1 retainer, and you knew that number for sure, what would that mean to you? What it would mean to you is you would have the exact formula and you'd know precisely the numbers you would need to do to make as much money as you wanted when you wanted to make it. Sadly, most recruitment and search firm owners have no idea whatsoever. And the sad thing is the difference between success and failure is simply knowing your numbers. The truth is you need to be tracking your numbers and know your numbers exactly. Your business decisions then can be based on the numbers, not on your gut reaction. So look, they're just some of the essential questions that you should know. There are a few more as well. If you'd like to get access to all the questions, simply go to terryedwards.com/apply and book a no cost, no obligation telephone meeting with me. Now, there is certain criteria to have a conversation with me. The criteria is this: you must be the owner or the director of the business, and you must be ambitious and want to grow your business. So if you'd like to get access to those other essential numbers that you must know to ensure your business success, and also discover exactly what you can do to generate more leads, so you never have to cold call again, have clients coming to you, simply go to terryedwards.com/apply and book a no obligation telephone meeting. So 2 criteria: you must be the owner or director of the business, and you must want to grow your business. Until next time, take care, take action, and be relentless.